Today's video is going to be about accusations made against another content creator. I just want you to know that these are accusations. These are not fact. It isn't. I cannot say whether it's the truth or not. This is simply accusations made against another YouTuber. And that's all I'll be saying in this. If I do say my opinion, that does not mean I am swaying one way or another. I am literally just saying that all I am doing here is letting more people know about these accusations, as I mean, they need to be addressed. That's where I stand with this. So if you've been around on the internet before, you will know of a YouTuber known as Boyinaband with about 3 million subscribers. To refresh your memory, I've got this video that came out in 2015 called Don't Stay in School. Quite a famous video on the YouTube.
I wasn't taught how to get a job.
It was a very famous video that came out on YouTube. I mean, what was it, 7 years ago now? And I mean, it changed a lot how a lot of people, especially at my age, when I was 7 years ago when I was watching this, I was like, wow, wait, he's got a point. You know what I mean? He was one of those people that was very influential to us younger people back then. I mean, it's raised a lot of kids now, think for yourself, realize that a lot of stuff out there is not what it seems at face value. Things like that. Like, he was really influential, and I myself looked up to him a lot. There was also this.
You're fucking delusional, so try your best to remember. You're not a pimp, you're a borderline...
well, that's a bad time to be at in that video, as we segue over into these accusations that popped up on r/Boyinaband 21 days ago. It's crazy to me that I just saw a couple TikToks and I saw a tweet that was saying, this one here actually is one I saw, which said, no way Boyinaband has been off the internet for so long because he's a pedophile. With one quick Google search, you will find this Reddit post, and I will read it in full for you. So it starts, Dave from Boyinaband, over a decade of abuse underneath an almost perfect public persona. Dear fans of Dave from Boyinaband, first of all, thank you for your time and understanding. We want you to know that we intended and tried to handle this as privately and as quietly as possible. Some time ago, a group of his ex-partners wrote a letter to his family in hopes of stopping the outgoing pattern of abuse. Below you can read that letter. We know there were more victims of his in the past, and if you're one of them, and we didn't find you before, message us. All we want to do is to tell you that you're not alone, and that none of it was your fault. Thank you. Dear Brown family, friends and fans of Dave from Boyinaband, we apologize for contacting you this way. We are a group of girls who knew and dated David in real life for, depending on the person, 1 to 6 years. Some of us met some of you personally. We know you love David and want to see him as a good person and a role model. We were also the people who once loved him and cared about him deeply. We understand that you want to see him happy. Still, decades of enabling his abusive behavior have led to many horrific and dangerous situations that included years of lies, manipulations, and emotional, financial, physical, and even sexual abuse of many young girls. As you know, David is now a 35-year-old polyamorous man with over a decade of provable history of dating girls much younger than him, including his highly gullible, obsessive, young fans. As you know, he once dated Rachel, who was 17, when he was 23. Rachel was a fan of his band and fell in love with him when she was just 15 years old. David ended up hitting her and telling that to at least 2 of his future girlfriends, which we can also prove. Let us add that this relationship in many countries would be considered as pedophilia. There are 2 videos on his channel that included 17-year-old Rachel. In one, he brags about waking up next to her. In the second, he makes her sing a song with the following lyrics, "Take me without my consent." And you can actually hear that here.
You gotta take me without my consent.
I mean, this is from 2011, which is crazy how long this has all been going on for. You can also find proof here on the Wayback Machine. You can find out about Rachel. I'm blurring her face here. Just for privacy reasons. You can go look at this document. It's public domain currently. There's even her saying, my boyfriend has a website called www.boyinaband.com for around 2 years now, where he makes music tutorials. And at the time she said she was 17. Here's a post from him on his blog, davidpaulbrown.com, back in 2009. This is from the Wayback Machine that says, "I try not to make this soppy since I know I wouldn't want to read several paragraphs of someone obsessing over the new love interest in their life. I'm now with a girl called Rachel. It's kind of cool how we met." Basically says that she showed an interest 2 years ago in his music, and they met at a gig, and then a year later she came to watch them again. Soon after the show, sent me a message on MySpace. We got talking. So, that is your evidence there to back up that segment. He has a pattern of preying on his young fans after they admire him and write to him on his social media, which is also what we just read. So after they write to him on social media, he starts to date them. He then tells them how much he loves them, that they are replaceable, and finally discards them for new ones as soon as they disagree or refuse to do whatever he wants. Most of those encounters include him renting an Airbnb to be with those girls for a few weeks, then discarding them. We know this is difficult for you to read, but it needs to be said. He also has a provable porn addiction that includes him being attracted to pre-teenage girls, women who dress to look like children, abusive porn, and assaults. He's a hebephile. I mean, that's... yeah. That's a lot to fucking read and take in. Especially considering that he dedicated his career to helping struggling young people and ended up harming many of them. Many of his past partners ended up in years of therapy due to the trauma caused by David. He has a pattern of dating and sleeping with a specific group of girls, younger. Most of his recent girlfriends were 10 or more years younger than him, over whom he has power and control and who are never his equals. What we mean by that is young, poor girls, often students with no big careers yet, whom he can impress by his success and money. He excessively chooses girls with a vast gap in money and influence so he can manipulate and mold them. Most of them were too scared to speak about it due to this reason. His preferences also include a physical superiority over his partners, looking very young, pre-adolescent, usually very skinny, and if not, he encourages them to lose weight, calling them lazy and disgusting. That's from a man who made a song with Jaden Animations to help girls with anorexia. Good Lord. Every paragraph is like just almost like too much to bear or too much to read. I was never even that much of a fan of Boyinaband, but I was, he was again, these are accusations, like I've said. These are still allegations and accusations that, they're not baseless and they're not without evidence, but, we don't know, we still don't know the reality and the full extent and truth to all this without his side, obviously, and without more evidence. But it's still crazy to think someone of this stature is, a lot of this is provable, so it's very, or even has been proved, and is very scary. But this has been going on for so many years now. The fact this was written 21 days ago is crazy. I tweeted about this morning. It seems a lot of people are very new to this whole idea and like, what? No way. It's mental. He coerced multiple young girls into being polyamorous, even if it was something that they had never considered before him. He advertises it as a superior way of living, which is highly inappropriate if not abusive. He tells his partners that they're replaceable, disappears so they don't do everything he wants, and treats them with zero empathy. They mean nothing to him outside of his pleasure, his wants, and his entertainment. When girls want to leave, he blocks them before they can even confront him, or uses his depression and suicidality as cards to force them to stay until he gets bored of them. He uses his depression to control girls by justifying why he treats them like garbage or playing the victim card. He refuses to take any personal responsibility and accountability for how cruel, vindictive, callous, hurtful, and abusive he is. If you ever wondered why years of therapy never really helped him, it's because he cannot face who he really is, and is unable to take ownership of the things he did, painting himself in bright light in front of his therapists. Over the last few years, he repeatedly mixed his medications, including antidepressants, ADHD medication, with whiskey and weed. That is not, that's not what you should be doing with your medication. He used, abused, and left so many girls that he could at this point write an alphabet from the first letters of their names. Please remember he advertises himself as a male feminist to the entire world, while in reality he's an abuser of multiple young girls. He acts similarly with friends, treating them badly as replaceable, lying about them to make himself look good or to get what he wants. For example, when after having no contact for more than a decade with his bandmates out the blue, he tweeted that he used to ignore his self-harm, which was a lie, confirmed and confronted by his bandmates on Twitter and on Reddit years ago. Darren admitted that they talked after and both apologized, but Dave never acknowledged that and left that tweet on his front page for almost 2 years now, sending his Twitter mob and his past friends who have normal lives, and Dave got thousands of sympathy tweets from young girls that strongly relate to the problem of self-harm. He does things like this to get attention and pity all the time. Again, we are sorry you had to read it. We are not his haters, not witch hunters, and not strangers. We don't want anything. We're not interested in being associated with him in any way. All we want to do is to warn his young fans about what can happen to them. Like you, we used to care about him, but he has to be stopped. Ours and yours enabling of this has to stop. He needs to face himself and meet the responsibility for the people he hurt before even more young girls get severely damaged, which they will carry for the rest of their lives. Depression cannot be used as an excuse to treat people this way. Treating any human being this way is inexcusable. Nobody has been left by him unharmed. Below you can find a little bit of proof of how he treated people, confirmed and proven by multiple of his ex-girlfriends and friends that he had hurt and replaced over the years. We know that you care about the persona he made for himself on the internet. We know you just want him to be happy, but he's not happy. He destroys people. He's an abuser, a groomer, a hebephile. We knew this is hard. We never wanted to do this, but what about these girls? What about future ones? They're people. This needs to stop. He needs to be stopped, please. Sincerely, what started as 5 girls and is now way in the double digits. P.S. Let this be a lesson about romanticizing those who are mentally ill, especially with a young audience. We think and talk about depression when someone is sad all the time or suicidal. We never talk about the ugly parts of it, of how people like that can be manipulative, abusive, and can hurt people, and the voices of those they hurt along the way who need to be heard. And this pattern of behavior needs to stop. If we can just stop one girl from ending up hurt, I'll sleep better at night. Please do the same. Thank you. So that's the Reddit post that was released 21 days ago now, which is absolutely absurd to me. I can't stop thinking about the fact that it's 21 days. I've barely seen anything about this, barely any coverage whatsoever. I suppose it's because, I've gone through these screenshots. It looks like a bunch of people saying, I have the evidence, which is a good thing, because I think a lot of the time just showing up all these receipts, 1, isn't a good look, and 2, is like, so many times it's just like, oh, that's just fake. And it's like, you have to do so much to prove that it's real. So it's better to hold on to that and report it correctly, because the internet is not the police. This happens all the time. A lot of you have watched me for a while. You'll understand there's a lot of creators out there will happily just say to you, this person is a pedophile, this person is a rapist, this person is a criminal, just because someone told them. Okay, my camera's died, but I'm going to keep going off. It's not your decision. It's not your right to just say they are guilty because you have read something online. You might have heard me say all this, but that does not make this man guilty of that crime. It does not make these women less reputable, and it does not make this thing less serious. It's still serious. Their opinions and voices are still 100% valid, and their opinions and their experience and their horrendous trauma is still completely real and valid to them, and should still be listened to and sympathized with. But like they said, this is not a witch hunt. And this is the problem with the internet. We see this as an excuse then to start our witch hunt, to start our own court of public opinion, and our own police enforcers come out of the woodwork and start saying, well, we should lock him up in internet terms. There's a lot of things to, sort of unravel here still. So again, this is not fact. This is not as we know it. This is just accusations and allegations. But again, do not invalidate this experience. Hear it, take it in, think about its seriousness, and wait for a response if there is one, or wait to see what other developments happen. That's all you need to do as a fan of him, or just your internet bystander. That's all you need to do. That's all I have to say on this piece. It's very upsetting to see, obviously. It's very distressing for a lot of people that have grown up on his content. But please, 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 be respectful. Remember, people are people, and everything is not always what it seems. But don't just believe one thing completely and don't just tell yourself one thing or another. This is not your experience. Thank you very much for watching. I hope I brought some sort of awareness to this. Yeah, that's all I want to do. Bring more eyes to this, and hopefully if there are people out there that have experienced something with Dave, then you know now that there is a stand being taken against him, and you can stand in that fight. So, and you can tell your story and your experience. I hope this has been insightful. I hope this is not too distressing. Thank you. See ya.